Greetings, traveler from beyond the fog. I am Melina. I offer you an accord. Have you heard of the Finger Maidens? They serve the Two Fingers, offering guidance and aid to the tarnished. But you, I am afraid, are maidenless. I can play the role of maiden, turning runes into strength to aid you in your search for the Elden Ring. You need only take me with you to the foot of the Erd Tree. Then it's settled. Summon me by grace to turn runes into strength. Ah, another matter. I bequeath to you this ring. Use it to traverse great distances. It will summon a spectral steed named Torrent. Torrent has chosen you. Treat him with respect. Shall I turn your runes to strength? Let my hand rest upon you. For but a moment, share them with me. Your thoughts, your ambitions, the principles you would follow.
With the level up menu, you spend runes to increase your attributes. With each attribute increase, your level rises by 1. As your level rises, so does the amount of runes required for your next attribute increase. So we know it, we love it. It is a leveling up system. So earlier part, I am probably going to level everything to 15 and then start beginning to go into the build. When I mean everything, I'm talking about just pretty much the stuff that matters for warrior and quality build. So largely going to be ignoring intelligence, faith, and arcane for a good minute. But our endurance is lacking. More stamina never hurts, and along with equip load, because we're going to need that for some good armors and stuff like that for the future. So we're going to go ahead and pour those stats in there. And Melina, very, very important NPC that we will see time and time again in here. Horseback riding, now this is obviously a new mechanic for Souls-like games. Use the Spectral Steed whistle to summon and ride your Spectral Steed. If your Spectral Steed dies, you can summon it again, but it will cost you 1 flask of Charisma Tears to do so. You can dismount by using the whistle again or by clicking L3. This is the pouches. From pouch in the main menu, you can equip up to 6 items in your pouches. 4 of those items can be used without opening the main menu. Yep. This just tells you exactly what I said before. And for me in my setup, I always put Torrent right here. Now, reading that new item we just got. A delicate gold work ring can be used as a finger whistle. Sound the whistle to summon and ride Torrent, the Spectral Steed. Upon his death, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. We already read that. Alright. Then you're pretty much on horseback. So, Torrent, a goated character. Kind of like a, I don't even know, full horse, I guess. But he's really cool, though. So horseback fighting and horseback riding are 2 different mechanics that you're going to have to get used to in Elden Ring. You can do this in a lot of zones, and it is preferable to do it in huge groups of enemies that are giving you a lot of trouble. so you can run away from stuff, or, you know, whatever the case might be. Now, Elden Ring likes to use what's called a tether system, much like all the Souls games do. So even though, like, you know you'll be able to run out certain enemies because a horse is much faster than, you know, a lot of grounded units, sometimes these things just kind of keep up with you because they are latched on you, and it's kind of like their version of a lock-on system. So you'll see from time to time we'll have enemies that kind of just follow us even though we're faster, and it can be kind of annoying. But regular R1 will swipe your weapon to the right. L1 over here will do it to the left. So now you're going to have to get used to two buttons. If you hold down L2, you'll do a charge sweep. If you hold down R2, you'll do a charge sweep to the right. Now you can just kind of tap it to kind of just do a real quick swipe. And every weapon is different, so they have different animations for each weapon. So it's going to look pretty smooth. Usually this wind-up, it generates some points of damage. So you can get like an extra hit or two in just from like kind of lining this thing up correctly. Mechanics of the fight are pretty good. Torrent he controls very well. Like you can just kind of pull off these trick jumps here and there, and you'll get used to doing it. So he's a double jump horse, very good. And then essentially what you want to do now is just kind of ride around. And we will show an instance of some horseback fighting. Go ahead and pick off some of these guard soldiers. So very quick on that. Already loving it. Now what they were saying with the clicking thing is that you just kind of click up on the L or on the left stick down, and you'll just jump right off instead of having to like do this number. So L3 is just much more smoother, more natural in the way I feel about it. Obviously not a lot of poise for these guys, so we are going to be able to take them out pretty easily. And just kind of pick up items as we go around the entire world. Very simple stuff.
Weren't you? Well, you're back. Care to buy some? There are others of my people who yet survive in these lands. If the mood takes you and you meet one, then offer them some trade, won't you? My people, wanderers all have long been spurned by the grace of gold, which is why we cannot settle, but instead are forced into this pitiful, unceasing journey. But thanks to that, things are not so different for us now, though the Elden Ring is shattered. I think this makes us kindred spirits of sorts. Your people, the Tarnished, and mine. Perhaps you don't need to hear this, but see that no harm comes to my kin. We have a saying, we wanderers. Lament not your solitude. Expect no sympathy, no regard, nothing. But if anyone dares harm us, show them no mercy. That is our code, so to speak, just the way we are. Deeply unforgiving. Goodbye.
So with the NPCs, they did take time with like the very early staged ones. They have a lot of hidden dialogue through some of this stuff, and there's actually quite a bit of like missed conversations and bugged type of things in Elden Ring, which really sucks because it's such a massive world that it's really hard to tell what triggers what around here. So from one playthrough to another, I've had different things happening, all over the place. And even though I might have thought I did something in the correct order, the game just kind of chooses to do whatever it feels like sometimes. So you'll have to deal with a lot of that kind of stuff. But you can always use the wikis on Extra Life or stuff like that in order to really hone in and focus on a lot of quest lines. We will get all the quest lines done though. There's really not a problem with that. So show every way to get every single mending rune and everything like that, and I'm not worried about it. But if there is like one or two dialogue choices that we forget, then it's gonna happen. Eagles are very good to kill. They give us feathers, like pinions. You're gonna need that for arrows. Now these guys right here, these point you in the direction of a catacomb. Guide and gatekeeper for those returning to the roots. So a little blue line will show up on the map, kind of indicating you need to go in that direction, and there will be a catacomb somewhere. So if you find these guys, it is worth your interest to interact with it, and then just kind of, have a marker for where catacombs might be located. I don't think every single catacomb has one of those things, but I could be wrong too because I've never found them all. Not the statue, not the statues, but I found every other catacomb in the game. So naturally or just by luck. Then here, so we'll see a bunch of messages kind of spawning around. It says time for lover, try night, visions of love, hold. Okay. So they're trying to say something there, right? So now we're gonna go ahead and talk to Melina. This option will appear every now and again, so you probably want to go ahead and, check out the grace the grace points here and there, just see if you're gonna get any kind of new dialogue. She primarily really shows up in these churches though a lot. So you'll see her a lot in this area.
This tiny golden aura is the grace of the Erd Tree. This light once shone in the eyes of your tarnished brethren, but now it is all that guides you. Also, I hear. You can see them, can't you? The rays of grace that guide you through your burden. Upon the cliff in Castle Stormvale is a shard bearer, a demigod, who inherited a fragment of the shattered Elden Ring. If the rays of grace signal the castle, then the Elden Ring beckons you. As an ally by pact, I pray that you are fit to face the challenge presented by the ring.
And I actually missed a lot of her dialogue, like in the beginning when I first played Elden Ring. Obviously, I'm not going to know everything right then and there. So yeah, just kind of taking the time to stop by Grace Points and kind of checking up on her, see if she's going to talk to you is pretty good. She has just some interesting dialogue, world lore, world expansion, stuff like that. So very worth it if you're into that kind of a thing. If not, then we want to pass the time. Not really sure if this is going to work right now. Okay. So, generally what we need to do now is that we need to kill at least one area boss, probably to open up this little secret encounter, which again is another encounter which I don't even know how I made it without ever knowing about it in the first run. So I am still trying to farm for the Lord Sworn Sword. That's going to be one of the very first things that I have to do for myself. Hopefully it pops. Nope. Okay. And anytime they kind of get a beat on you, just run away. Reset yourself. We'll do a charge. Those little dragonflies are very annoying to deal with, so kind of be prepared for that. They're not extremely damaging enemies or anything, they're just really fast and hard to hit. And they only give you like one real opportunity to go ahead and do that to them, so. Is it likely you'll do it often? Probably not. And then just coming back down to the Gatefront Ruins, you can go ahead and just continue to just farm these guys, try to get any weapons you want. They do have a shield that is very, very good, actually. And pretty much any of them have a chance to drop it. Another helmet. So that shield right there, that thing is really good. It was actually like the first shield I ever used in the game, so I got really lucky, I guess. I didn't know the drop rate was pretty low on it, but that specific guy dropped it really early in the game, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll just use that one. Which I was able to get the stats for it. And let me tell you, never look back. Once I got that thing, it was over. It was pretty much the only shield I used in the first run too. I couldn't bring myself to get away from stuff that I acquired early in the game. Because, you know, back then you don't know what's really good or what you're trying to learn and stuff like that. These guys aren't too bad to kind of farm around either, you know what I mean? Just get some extra runes and stuff like that. He can be a bit of a problem though sometimes, because he just likes to kind of get those cheap hits in. So we'll see if a fast travel will do this. Go back here. And fast traveling is generally really fast, especially on PS5. Further than I want to go.
This way,
Okay.
tarnished. May I have a word?
So I really don't know what triggers her, other than maybe fighting a boss or just kind of going back and forth through the grace points. But you'll only get her at nighttime right here, so you really want to talk to this person.
A pleasure to meet thee, tarnished. I am the witch Renna. I'd heard tell of a tarnished hurtling about atop a spectral steed, and upon looking into the matter, the talk I surmise is of thee. Thou art possessed of the power, no? To call forth a spectral steed named Torrent. Ah, as I had hoped. I was entrusted this for thee, by Torrent's former master. 'Tis a bell for calling forth spirits. Summon them with it. From ash and return to the Erdtree, the spirits will obey thine command but briefly. As they recall battles past, now it is thine, to do with as thou wishest.
Alright, summoning spirits. With a spirit calling bell, you can use ashes to summon various spirits. Summoning typically consumes FP.
Forgive mine intrusion, tarnished. I doubt we shall again meet. But all the same, learn well the lands between. How long will it be, I wonder, before the tarnished tire of obeisance to the two fingers?
Very important there. She obviously is not a big fan of two-finger stuff, so we'll figure out why.
Wait, well, you're goodbye.
Now, with spirit summoning stuff, right, all you need to do is just get the bell. I don't know how I got the bell, to be honest. I really forgot if there's a second way. Obviously, I did at some point in my first run because, I don't know, I was able to summon things in the end, but I never found her at the church, so I don't know. But a bell capable of summoning various spirits from ashen remains. It usually requires FP to use. Spirits can only be summoned in the vicinity of a rebirth monument. When summoning is possible, the monument icon will be visible on the left side of the screen. Only one type of spirit may be summoned at once, and none may be summoned during multiplayer. Lone Wolf Ashes. So every single one of these ashes will have like a story kind of combined to them, which I think is very cool. Just because, you know, it's common enemies that we're going to find throughout the game, or even boss-like enemies, sometimes I want to say, that you're able to kind of summon to help you in battle. So this is very, very cool stuff. Spirits of wolves chased from their pack. They later encountered a nameless tarnished who welcomed them as hunting companions. The wolf spirits overwhelm enemies with their agility, aiding the summoner in combat. And then in order to use that stuff, all you have to do is just attach it to one of your quick item areas. And then you just kind of cycle through. Now you won't be able to use them in areas like this. They need to be highlighted and an icon needs to show up on the screen of summonable areas. And it's not the little things that you touch, it's just kind of random where they're like, you know, eligible to be summoned in the world. They're always summonable during boss fights, but in the open world it's kind of hard to say when it does happen. And in this instance, you can see that white little rune icon showed up on the left side, meaning that they are now eligible to be summoned. So we mean to do that. So we'll take them over here so we can see them in action against these bats. And you'll see a huge chunk of my FP is consumed for doing this. And I get it back for defeating the group. And a lot of the stuff in Elden Ring is climbable and all that. Now you kind of see, like, once you start getting out of range of it, they'll start kind of blinking and then disappearing. Once this happens, that's it. They're just, you can't summon them. They'll just disappear. So they are no longer with me. And everything but what I need right now. And what's going to be funny is that every run I've had since the first one, I've been picking up that sword pretty much immediately on first runs back here. But now that I actually want to use it, it's going to be the most difficult thing to get. Because that's how it works in the RPGs. These guys right here are going to be the best farm for this route. And honestly, it would probably be easier to kind of come from the cave and then out. These blue little lines right here just mean that the horse can't follow through. So if I try to, it'll just kick you off. Always touch the summoning pool, so now if anybody needs help, I'll be able to help out in here. Obviously the grace.
Me? I'm searching for my purpose, given to me by my mother inside the Earth Tree, long ago. For the reason that I yet live, burned and bodiless. There is something for which I must apologize. I've acted the Finger Maiden, yet can offer no guidance. I am no maiden. My purpose was long ago lost.
Yeah, so a lot of interesting dialogue with her in the beginning. So now it's just kind of a farm route until I pop the sword. And that's just kind of what sucks about it sometimes. You just have to do this. Because there's no vendor that sells the Lordsworn's straight sword. So we kind of have to do it this way. Like I said, this is just the earliest way to do it. There's another enemy that does drop the sword that I need, but it's just easier to do it now since we have the means to do so. Just need to have the time and the patience to do this kind of stuff. It's like any other thing in JRPGs. And then we actually picked up a new item there, so instead of the regular bolts, we got the Lordsworn's bolts. And you can kind of see the theme here, right? So the regular stuff is just a tad weaker than the Lordsworn stuff, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. We actually want to get the stronger version of things. And from the research, it seemed like the Lordsworn is probably one of the best swords in the entire game, as far as straight swords are concerned. The longsword can definitely get the job done, but you know, if it has just a bit more damage and it scales better with certain builds, then I'm all for it. And plus, doing this, you know, nets you more runes and more chances to get their armor, you know, and stuff like that. So it's really worth your time doing. You're gonna have to do it anyway for certain areas. But it doesn't really take any time to do this kind of stuff, so, you know, we're not really pressed for time anyway. It's going to be a long playthrough regardless of what we do. And there we go. Look at that. See? Beautiful. Now then, as we just went through and said, it is the same in every regard except the damage, right? And it has just a tad more critical boost there, so once I get critical hits, it's actually going to hit a lot harder than this one would. And we're looking at a physical of 115 plus 14. So its damage is just a tad bit better than the other one. Now, if we're trying to compare both swords, we can probably make a good determination that it looks like the Lordsworn sword is just a bit shorter than the longsword, I would think. It's kind of hard to line them up. That or they might be the same. The dual wielding in this game is pretty cool. That's what I'm trying to do in the other build, but I don't really know too much. Well-crafted straight sword for illustrious design, wielded by regulars of the Lord's army. Though blackened and damaged by years of use, it appears to have otherwise been kept serviceable condition, despite the soldiers having long since lost their minds. So it also comes with the square off ability. The skill starts with a sword held level, follow up with normal attacks to do a slash upward through the enemy's guard, or a strong attack to perform a running thrust. So very cool. And if I had to say, I think it has a bit more drip as far as what a sword should look like. So you can tell it's definitely got some wear and tear on it compared to its the longsword. You know, the longsword looks a little clean. Or Lord of the Rings Aragorn looking right. Then you got this going on. Very neat. definitely want to see that. That's really good to see. Okay. Now, we do want to strengthen at least the sword one time, so that it's a little bit better.
Wait, well, you're back.
And then from him, if you're eligible to, go ahead and start picking up the little books now. And then his pots. The telescope is kind of one of those things you can get if you really need it. Honestly, I would probably suggest getting it at some point because it really helps with aiming and stuff like that, and kind of material to make that on your own. Arrows and bolts, probably want to spend any extra runes you get on these because, you know, you don't want to go into boss fights with multiple runes and stuff like that. Shield isn't that great. The chain cough stuff is alright. If you're like a wretch and you have no armor, this is probably the best armor you can afford up to this point. And then these little notes. Seeing that I know what they say, I'll just do it anyway just because we're on, you know, kind of like a tutorial-ish type of thing here. So you can't read these until you buy them, obviously, but once we do, so the note, Flask of Wondrous Physic, a note sold by a nomadic merchant imparting knowledge and brief. A Flask of Wondrous Physic still remains in the Third Church America north of the Mistwood. Cross the highway bridge and follow the animal trail north. So just little tidbits and secrets and hints about where you need to go to find cool things. Someone lurks among the waypoint ruins on the roads through Limgrave. Okay. And then we're eligible to make bone arrow stuff, those and the water pots. So we got a pretty good start going here right now. Most important things are, you know, going to be like arrows and bolts and throwing daggers. These are obviously going to be really high in demand, fire pots and stuff like that. Now, I would probably suggest making pots as you need them. My favorite type of pot to make is definitely the holy ones, because when we get into dungeons with skeletons, this is pretty much a one-hit insta-kill early game. And fire pots are not a bad idea either if you really like the idea of just kind of having a throwable item. And you can just keep remaking them over and over again. You saw where the butterflies were located. You can just keep on farming that one spot right there to get more butterflies, but there's going to be better areas to go through. Okay. So these dudes are considered nobles. Just kind of lost their way in the lands between. Most of the time they just give up Roa fruit. Every now and again they can drop some really cool things, but that's just basically what they do. They just kind of chill somewhere. They're undead suffering. And then, like I said, the little blue lines here is trying to point us in a direction. And you can see how dark this area is, so it's really hard to see these things until you come up on them. But this is going to be our first instance of a catacomb. Then, you know, light is going to be kind of hard to come by in these areas unless you have a torch, so this is why I suggest getting a torch early. A proper death means returning to the Earth Tree. Have patience until the time comes, the roots call to you. Okay. Kind of giving us lore about what the catacombs are all about. Now, we're going to run into some pretty funny enemies that I don't know why a lot of people were struggling with them in the beginning, but it's okay. They have the same exact moveset that the little dudes from Dark Souls 3 have. If you're a shielded guy, you're gonna have an easy time. If you're unshielded and you're kind of running around with like a staff or something, then it might be a little difficult depending on if you can pick them off at range. These messages are always really good, so I always give people little props for kind of helping out everybody, So they're telling us to watch out, so you can see these little imp figures. The idea is that all of this shit is to be like ambush setups and stuff like that. That's like the whole catacomb deal. But if you just kind of take your time, peek around the corner, you can see this guy. And then there, I think you could see what the deal was. So these guys with their weapons can cause bleed buildup. Easiest way around this is to let them kind of do their swings at you, and then once they kind of bounce off your shield, then that's when you want to take an opportunity to guard counter, and they pretty much go down immediately. And then after that, go over, do your critical, and then that's it. That's really how you deal with these imps. The only time that they can get really dangerous is when you get jumped by multiple of them, and you got like one throwing shit at you, the other one's chasing you down, or if they start really building up your bleed meter, and then you just like pop a bunch of health out because of that. But if you take it slow and cautious, you won't have to be dealing with too much bullcrap from them. Grave Glovewort is another upgrade mat that we need for our spirits, but that won't be for a while. And there's two versions of those, just like there's two versions of our smithing stones. Like I said, just kind of do that. That's the easiest way I can say to deal with them. This one likes to kind of fall whenever he wants to. Yeah. So we got fire traps. Fire traps and all this other shit that's coming down, right? Easy way to deal with those is going to be a bow and arrow, but since we are lacking that, we are going to have to do this the hard way, which is by straight up running right through the trap. You'll want to watch out for two of them. Come over here and just get behind it. Once you hit it, it'll lower. We'll pick up the prattling pate. This one is a voice that emits hello, so this is the only way that your character will be able to quote-unquote talk. Wistful fetish that imparts voices and words on eternal journey. So if we were to use that as an item, it's pretty much just a multiplayer item. Like if you just want to greet people or whatever, you can do that. Oh, that might be too late. Yeah. And like I said, easiest way to ensure that you're not going to get singed is just to shoot an arrow down the way and you'll pop them, and then you won't have to deal with it anymore. And then right here is like a mega ambush. This is probably where most people were saying that these things are very deadly, which I don't disagree, they are. But what we can do here is just kind of pick them off one by one if they'll allow us to. Kind of create items, so we'll create a couple of bone darts. I mean, this is all you want to do, really. You just want to separate them. Don't let them get the best of you. Okay, that's our first instance of a new upgrade map. So there's Ghost, and then there's Grave. Grave will be used for the regular summons, while Ghost will be used for the renowned or better summons. So we have both of those, which is great. And there will be a lot of elevator tricks with these things as well, but not in this dungeon specifically. So these games can be really as hard or as easy as you make it. I mean, if you just separate these guys, it's not going to be a big problem. If you played any Souls game before, then you should know this. That's like a general rule. Just don't get ganged up on. Just check your corners when you're on a high spot. Make sure you check down below. Let's check our battlefield. Make sure we're identifying, troubles and hazards around the entire thing. Wandering Noble Ashes. So you will summon 5 of these dudes. The spirit of nobles who, after death, now wander the lands between. Surely they were in search of something once, but whatever it was has been long been forgotten. So we are going to see a lot, like I said, we're going to see a lot of instances where those guys are just kind of digging around stuff, and, that's kind of their lore. That's what they do. We can take the bones off. We're not going to need those. You really just want to always maintain like a clean inventory. So you don't want to sit in a battle and kind of shuffle through things you don't need there, because it takes a minute. And when you're in this mode, if you hold down on the D-pad, you'll return to the very first quick slot item you had. So it's an easy way to kind of go back to your Crimson Flask if you're using it. These mechanisms right here, little levers, are going to open up the boss door every single time. That's pretty much the point of the catacombs, is to explore, find some stuff, get to these levers, open it up, and then the message will show up down there saying that a heavy door is open somewhere. And then they're usually always by the very beginning entrances. So we got this guy, kind of... Gray Violet, and a Smithing Stone. Those are actually really good drops. Like, Smithing Stones never really pop off from these guys. Nothing really pops off from these guys ever. Sometimes you get lucky and get their weapon or their mask, but those are extremely rare drops. Blooms of Graveyards. A purple flower that blooms in graveyards. The hue of a ghost flame. It's believed to be useful in calling forth spirits. Okay, so just another item that we can use for crafting. And then a good habit to get into while you're like in the catacombs and stuff is, since you know that there's a boss door right there, and we have literally a grace point like right here, just use it to kind of just heal yourself, because you want to go into fights like 100%. Use up any runes that you want to in order to level up, or stuff like that, because you never want to carry a lot of runes into a boss fight, so that you're not really stressing out over having to go get your runes when you die every single time, and potentially losing them out, because sometimes these bosses can one-hit you and it's kind of crazy. Now for this fight, I'm not really going to summon the ashes, because I think the ashes as helpful as they can be in some fights, sometimes bosses like this won't really require another additional help because it'll just throw the timing off and things for me. And plus, this guy is really not that bad, so that's the worst attack that it can do. You really just want to get the timing down. Get away from its fire breath. Yeah, like I said, that's the worst thing it can do. And a lot of these boss fights in these arenas are going to just give us talismans, new items. A lot of the ashes are earned from those places, so the world side exploration point of it all is really good because you're going to net something. Like, you're always going to have a reward for doing something, you know, somewhere. And then right now we have the Noble Sorcerer Ashes, so Spirit of Nobleman, who once asked to be given a place at Raya Lucaria to learn Glintstone sorceries. His talents were insufficient to be worthy of donning the Stone Crown, however, and he is only capable of using the most rudimentary sorcery. So, basically, a sorcerer who failed at being a sorcerer. And they can only cast one type of spell. Those dudes move around the battlefield very slowly, and they just get wiped. So they're just very useless. But if you have an enemy that has a magic weakness, it might be worth your time, just so you can get some magic damage in there. Even though they might not survive for very long periods of time, but it's, you know, it's the damage that matters the most. And the cool part about Elden Ring is that, unlike most of the other Souls games, if you summon for help, like your own summon ashes, the bosses will not gain any extra HP or anything like that. That only happens and triggers when you actually summon like a real person to come and help you. And I forget the percentages. I think it's like 10% and then 25% or something like that. So if you get one helper, you get 10. You get two helpers, the boss's HP goes up by 25%. I think. I'm not really sure, but yeah, essentially, you know, it's every player is basically responsible for like 33% of the HP, and however they calculate that, that's basically what the numbers are. And with that taken care of, then you kind of make a decision on if you want to buy this extra shit or not. I'm only one stone short of a level up. Okay. I want to see if one of them drops their uniform. That'd be great. And we'll have everything from them. Oh. go on and take on this cave. So caves function in a different way than the catacombs will. Caves are basically just explore it, fight some dangerous enemies, get to the boss fog, and then fight the boss. They're generally shorter than catacombs, I would say, because they're just tunnels. You know, some caves though can go on pretty long, but not really like the worst of it. You know what I mean? All of these are handcrafted different areas, even though they do share some similar elements, but nothing like super copycat. You know? Yeah. So the whole point of this dungeon is wolves, right? So obviously the white wolf was the most dangerous of the pair there. The gimmick on that one is like a double bite, so it'll give you like a hint that it was kind of just swiping at you. Because like the normal wolves, they'll only just bite you one time. See? But then he'll go like a chomp and then another chomp to the side. That's where they try to open you up, making you think that you have a clearing, but then you get hit. And the white wolves can actually chunk you down pretty hard. So we got cave moss, more stuff. The lowstone emits light from a location, illuminating surroundings. However, the effect is short-lived and lacks the diverse colors of rainbow stones. So yeah, just like it says, it just kind of lights up, you know, little spots here and there. Silver firefly, the light firefly is believed to have an alluring magic. Silver light is considered to invite riches. So, a hint at what that is used for in item crafting. So they set you up pretty easily in Elden Ring. They just, you know, they want you to kind of think about what you're doing here. It's very easy to run into this tunnel, be very quick about stuff, you know, and then get ambushed by like a whole den of wolves. In catacombs, it's easy to get overwhelmed by fire traps and the imp dudes who are pretty quick and stuff like that. But literally, if you just take your time, separate the enemies one by one, that is like the name of the game, and you'll be good to go. The only potential struggles you should have is against any kind of boss, because you're going to see it for the first time, and you'll have to learn all their moves and strats. Now for this fight, I can do it solo too, but I will show what it looks like when summons are here. So you want to summon them pretty quickly out the gate, because the bosses start rushing at you. And then once he gets distracted, you just kind of go in there for some mega damage. And I mean, he just got ganked on, so good deal. But yeah, his boss fight isn't hard either, but that's generally what a fight looks like with summons in. So summons are extremely helpful. They do take, you know, the attention off of you specifically in order to get, like, you know, some healing off or some spells going or whatever you might need. There are a lot of very good spirits that we're going to use in the future, just not right now. But generally, like I said, as soon as you hit that door, you want to summon quickly, because those bosses are running at you, and it takes quite a while for that little bell ringing to happen. Then let's see what else we got. So we got our first talisman from this fight. which is the Flames Drake Talisman. It does exactly what it says. Boost fire damage negation. The ancient dragons who ruled in prehistoric era before the Earth Tree would protect their lord as a wall of living rock. And so, the shape of dragon has become symbolic in all matter protections. So we're going to see plenty of those. And honestly, you can put it on. As long as it doesn't like super affect your load, your equip load, then those are generally safe to put on. But a little bit of fire negation is always good. The way that you check that too is you would actually go into your status and then hit triangle. Or not. Oh no, it's right there. Okay. So we already see the damage negation. I was thinking of a different game. But yeah, so you see your fire negations went up to 31, and then it kind of changed there. I don't know what happened just now. 31, take it off. Fire negation went down to 30 or to 21. Then we put that back on, and fire negation went down to 31 or up to 31. So whatever reason it was 38 and then it flashed 31, so that was really odd. But we'll just say, it's a 10-point increase in fire negation. And it doesn't really take a whole lot of hits for them to knock you off your horse, which is really annoying to deal with. So there's greatness to it, but then there's also some drawbacks to being on horseback. And when you get knocked off a torrent, it's one of the worst feelings in the world. I'm missing a guy. There you go. There you go. And I just generally do this just for extra runes, extra equipment. You never know when they're going to drop that. Yep. Some smithing stones, that always helps out too. Just want more damage. Yep, so now he has summoned the entire party out here. And you have a lot of options here. I mean, you can summon, but I mean, look at this. This is how insane this can get. But really, to deal with big groups isn't that bad. You just want to get this guy out of the fray, because he likes to wind up pretty heavy on you. Just kind of back and forth slashes. Oh, something got me. Oh. Yeah, the spear dudes are definitely the worst when it comes to this shit. Whew, that was it. Now you can see it's getting pretty dangerous. The horse has its own little damage pool too, so sometimes they'll actually hit him and not your true HP. Sometimes when you find yourself in a pickle, you gotta do what you gotta do. Bam. That, I mean, just that alone, you know, you're kind of seeing how you can just keep on going and going and going. Actually netted ourselves another Lord Sworn sword, so that's really good. So I can actually use 2 different swords and build them into 2 different things if I need to, while still maintaining the movesets. We got a lot of good stuff here, man, I'm telling you. And then, yep, so we got the full equipment now for all the Godric gear, which is a lot different. I mean, it's kind of better in a way for some of the stats here you can see. So slash and piercing weapons will do a little bit less damage, but the physical damage reduction is pretty much on par. We got Godric Knight stuff. It's just Godric gear is a little bit heavier than our starting Vagabond gear. This only really seems to be the greaves are the worst part of it. But yeah, if you wanted to, now you can kind of switch into the soldier dudes. I'll go ahead and hold on to the Vagabond for now, up until we get to where I want to get to. And like I said, you're kind of faced with 2 options now. You can go through the gate, or kind of continue to explore Limgrave. And there is a lot of neat stuff to explore out here. I'm already going to put a marker down right here, because I already know that there is a night boss right there. There will be messages on the bridge too, so, you know, we'll always know. And there's no harm in resting. These are pretty cool. Godric the Golden humiliated, having tasted defeat by the blade of Mikola, now on his knees begging for mercy. Yep. So we're kind of getting a world war here. Godric is obviously the weakest of all of the demigods. Those who were gifted the shards of the Elden Ring. So our first boss is going to be a weak dude.
Yeah, you there? Stop pretending you can't see me.
Arteria leaf. Dark red leaves with thick, swollen veins. Material used for crafting items, extremely rare to find. A faint pulse.
I'm not that ugly, am I?
So you're probably wondering, who the heck is talking to me? Yeah. Messages will usually pop around this little tree right here, but if you just kind of roll into it.
What'd you go and do that for? Oh, yes, I remember. Some clod turned me into a tree. You were just breaking the spell, weren't you? Thank you. The name's Bok. I was pushed out of the cave. Told not to come back. Not ever. Then I ended up as a tree. Lucky you came along, really. Oh, what a shame. When they threw me out of the cave, they took everything I owned. And so this is all I have to express my thanks. I hope you can forgive me. could sneak back into the cave and bring back something of actual value, then I'd be of some real use to you, I reckon. Right, but I'll need a moment. I'm frightened of them, so I have to gather myself. My knees start knocking, just thinking about that god-awful cave on the shore. Right,
Okay, so he's telling us about a cave on the shore, so, you know, they are trying to apply something here. But yeah, usually messages pop up there, so you'll be able to tell what you're supposed to do. Most people say, try rolling, try attacking, or whatever. Tree, friend. These dudes can be a pain in the ass sometimes, so you want to sneak up on them. Yep, he's already started. You really just want to pick your hits, kind of not stand in his way. Yep. Picked up a foot. These are pretty rare sometimes from them. And then little stuff like this, you always kind of want to check them out. So this is another instance of trying to draw these things away from each other. If you fight two, it'll be a little bit of a hard show. And he already kind of took notice to us, so... Kind of unbelievable that wasn't death, to be honest. Hulking, fearless mercenaries that they hail from the mountaintops of the wintry north are adept in fighting on horseback. Caden is the name of their home settlement. So pretty cool things right there. Mercenary type enemies. Kind of want to charge these R2s up and hit them in the right moment. fire grease, drawstring, fire grease, and fireproof dry liquid. So this is a very good thing you want to have, because now you can create those. Adding those to your arsenal will be very good, because then you turn your weapon into fire or whatever. Pretty useful for early game, to be honest. So we'll create just a few of them. And pretty much my build's going to be reliant on stuff like this. And you just kind of grease up your weapon and you do extra damage. I kind of charge up. I'm missing it every single time too. So annoying. Oh, so bad. This curved greatsword wielded by the brawny sellswords of Caden combine the blade of scimitar with the heft of a hatchet. A difficult to handle weapon that demands much of the wielder's strength and dexterity, but with practice and ability can serve as a versatile weapon even on horseback. So you can tell that this was a pretty rare drop. Strength and dex are at an all-time high right there for the early game to go ahead and get those kinds of points. But really not that bad of a sword. It's a curved greatsword, so obviously it's going to probably lean more into dexterity, even though the attribute points indicated that it would be a strength weapon. And I mean, it can be, a lot of those kinds of weapons can be quality build, so not too bad. It has a different moveset than regular, great swords and stuff like that. And a lot of these grassland areas will always have like wolves and stuff kind of just running in packs around the towns and whatnot. I'm going to see if I can take these guys down and get some flasks back. Okay. So this will be the first instance of a night boss that we will get to see throughout the game. I kind of want to stay away from the fire. Sometimes they hold those things out and it kind of clips you in a way. It's really strange. The white beetles are ones that give us like material. Not material. Yeah, material and Ashes of War. So it's worth your time to kind of check up on those things. Here we have a boss that's staring right at us. So that's a nighttime boss. Well, he knows we're here. Gonna make this fight hard because he has dudes all over with him. Here comes the party. Well, that ain't fair. Sometimes that jump leap likes to kind of slip through somehow, and it ends up hitting you anyway. That swipe is probably the worst attack it can do to you. Yep, then once you have them on the ground, just go ahead and pop them. Nice Ash of War there with the repeating thrust. We'll go ahead and take care of him before he becomes a problem again. Okay. Few new things earned there. So we got Determination. Determination, a knightly skill. Hold flat the armament to your face and pledge your resolve, powering up your next attack. So it has its niche uses for sure. If you're just going for a pure strength build and you want to bonk really hard on one hit, then use that. Pretty low on FP cost, so you can use it kind of, every time you have an opening. Dagger. So, it is what it is. Pretty high critical rate. It's all they're really good for. Repeating thrust. So, this is a keen affinity. Keen being another word for dexterity builds. So if you want to change a weapon into a dex weapon, then go ahead and put this in as long as it's eligible. Usable on armaments capable of thrusting. So a weapon like the S-Stock would be, prime or spear or something like that. As long as it has a thrust to it, then yes, you'll be able to do it. These little cargo things, or whatever you want to call it, little convoys, they actually do have, treasure in the back, which is just in the form of weapons most of the time. So if you kind of just jump on it, nothing will happen. So what you need to do is actually attack the trolls. Just one hit's enough. They'll kind of kneel down or just stop completely. Then take the opportunity to go ahead and open these up. And I picked up the Great Axe. Too heavy to be wielded by those merely ordinary strength. Blows from this axe will flatten enemies and force the charge attack is sight to behold. So use that weapon before it's pretty neat. And these guys, you kind of just want to stay away from their legs as they're doing that little stomp. Kind of go on the circular pattern, kind of just chop at them as they run by. They're worth a pretty hefty amount of runes too, at 1,000 apiece. So you can actually farm those dudes for runes. They're not really overly hard to kill. We'll come across them quite a few times actually. But these things usually have a large, like, little convoy that follows behind them. They just might be too far back. Yeah, let's see. I mean, you can choose to fight that mess of crap or just kind of leave it alone. Obviously, the Kaiden soldiers are probably going to be the worst things to deal with there. Oh, sapling, sweet sapling, glorious gold, has your crystal teardrop ripened? So, a little hint about what that's all about. This ruin right here, actually, I'll take this off. I think we'll be alright to take on the boss. Can be a little difficult, though, at times, depending. The little flower things here, they're pretty difficult to deal with. Because he'll just spew poison everywhere. Yep. And once you get poison at the early game, I mean, you're forced to basically heal through it and get to a grace point because we don't have any way to deal with that right now. So you just want to be careful with these things. They can poison you pretty quickly. They also have this really annoying move, the giant ones do. Like I said, it can be pretty quick about it, so you want to be careful with that. Just kind of want it to dissipate a little bit. They are extremely tough, like, yeah, slam move can kind of one-hit you if you're not careful. So you don't want to keep on blindly swinging away at it, you do want to move around. When it raises like that, it's going to drop these little pillars of light on you. Go for a slam again. So a pretty easy way to deal with those guys is to kind of use fire on them. Using fire will kind of put it in a burn situation where it'll start flailing around like crazy, kind of put the fire out on itself. And it's very weak to fire too, so you know fire is going to be your best bet when it comes to dealing with those guys. Other than that, if you want to just keep on looping its AI in effect of waiting for the flames to kind of die out, let its resistance go down a bit, and then just pop it again with fire, you can just continuously make it go crazy. And anytime it spews out the poison like it just did, you use anything fire related and it'll go away instantly. But they're actually pretty useful. They drop some good items at times. Like Poison Bloom, Miranda Powder. This stuff is really good for making poisonous stuff.
Tarnished, are we? I wonder you should turn up here. I am Selen, a sorcerer, quite plainly. Why are you here? Ah, a yen for glintstone sorceries. I dare say your proclivities are far from ideal. Karia, as a reviled, apostate witch, do you still wish to learn from me? Well, you are a piece of work. Very well. You are now my protege in glintstone sorcery. But I refuse to coddle, or cast kind words. Never. Anticipate grievances, young apprentice.
Alright, so Sorcerer Selen here is going to be your pretty much your mage merchant. So if you're looking for any kind of spells or anything like that, the game calls it glintstone arts, so go ahead and go with that. If you need to do it, obviously this character is not tailored to use anything intelligence-wise, so none of this will apply to me this round.
Young apprentice, you are a tadpole when it comes to magic. Infantile. Without the legs to walk. So, to become a sorcerer, first, you must face your ignorance. Now, shall we start learning? You wish to continue very well.
So Sorcerer Selen will have a pretty big part to play in the side questing, but for now, she is down here, and that is it. So anytime we find an item called a scroll, we will take it to her, and she will be our little merchant for sorcery. I am going to, however, recommend against that, because we have another way to do that later on. And I think it's a much better way to do it and handle it than trying to give it all to her for certain reasons. These guys serve as no more than just easy flask regain. Kaiden dudes, though, are anything but. Yeah. Sweet raisin. Feed Torrent, da 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 da. So yeah, you have a way to kind of like kill Torrent with the Roa fruits and stuff like that. I've personally never done it ever because he always gets his HP back naturally. So unless you're like really dependent on Torrent and you know you're going to take a lot of hits with him, then I mean, go ahead and feed him those things. But honestly, yeah, like I've never used them, so. I just don't think they were kind of mechanically built right for the game. Then as you can see, look at that. We already got all our flasks back, our HP's back to top. So as long as you learn how to manage your stuff and you know when you're in a bad situation, you'll be very successful in Elden Ring. Seriously. Then just keep on finding grace points and, you know, explore the world. It's really all you gotta do. See, I hate when they do shit like that. You'll just kind of get caught in this little weirdo thing. There's like a giant little war going on down here.
You must be the new Tarnished. You do well to steer clear of a guild like fledgling. A dragon roosts there, and it's as fearsome as it is majestic. So, unless you're mad or wish to be burned alive, stay clear of the lake. Don't be a fool. Turn back before it's too late. Don't be a...
So I like to venture to say that 99% of people found out the hard way when it came to Aghill Lake. Just like probably I did too. Because we never found this guy in the beginning. And we ran straight to the lake and got absolutely surprised by what was in the lake. But what he said is true. There is a dragon in that damn lake. And dragons are pretty okay to fight against. They're not too difficult to deal with, but if you get the wrong momentum going, you can just die pretty instantly. So, pretty interesting note is that these little warp thing, jump pads, whatever you want to call them, if you use it to jump down, you actually will never die with Torrent. If you try to jump down there without Torrent, you will. But these kind of serve as like a leap pad, and there will be a tutorial kind of explaining what they are. I'm not in dire need to go down there just yet, so I don't really have to worry about that. It's coming down here is just for some item. Can get the drop on those guys. They're probably the toughest ones, these dudes. They're just really jumpy, fidgety enemies, so kind of deal with them the way you can, I guess. I don't even really think they're worth the time, but it is what it is. Pretty much guarantee a slumbering egg every time you kill a owl, so yeah, and then they set up these little types of ambushes here and there. It's like we already marked all you guys, so get you a club. Spirit Spring jumping. Jump while on horseback near Spirit Spring to ride it to its current height into the air. You won't take damage from jumping into a Spirit Spring while on horseback, even from a great height. Press X at the start at a Spirit Spring while on horseback to start the jump. And these are wonderful for kind of scouting out an area before you commit to it. So you kind of pop up in the air, kind of check things out, and then make your run to wherever you want to get to. We will go down to that bridge eventually, but not anytime soon. So it's just basically an alternate route into it. We don't really need to do it though. That'll be time to jump. Good. That'll be good. Giant leap. And just to show you, will never die when you do it off these. So those won't kill you. That guy could be a problem. Oh no. They love that. If the second slime actually did damage, we'd be in a lot of trouble, to be honest. Yeah, so Gravitas. So the Gravity School of Magic is actually pretty interesting in the hands of a right build. I love the gravity stuff, specifically more of, the later spells. But Gravitas is actually really good at dealing with flying enemies, too. If you find yourself dealing with a flying enemy and they're being kind of jerks just flying around you like that, just pull that out, slam it in the middle, they'll drop straight to the ground, and you'll have like free attacks on them. So things like the bats and some other enemies we haven't run into yet. Really cool stuff, to be honest. Just another reason why Elden Ring is really good at what it does. I mean, it's trying to go for a sense of realism, so, take what we can get. This could be kind of dangerous. I don't really want to deal with the crab. The crab is one of those enemies where it's like really put heavily on the tether system. But if we run over here, this place will be very familiar. This was the opposite side of the Totoro Tunnel. And we get ourselves the Halig Drake Talisman. So this will boost the holy damage negation. So you got an enemy that's dealing holy damage, it will negate that by 10 more points. So pretty commonly missed area right there. If you really do want that item, then go ahead and get it. And we pretty much round circled back to, the start of the game here. There is plenty to explore, though, down in this area towards Beachhead. And let's see here, we got a couple of good things around here, actually. Yeah, so we got a lot of exploring to do still. We got this entire middle lake. We got what's through the little canal here. What's on this side of the bridge. We haven't even gone up this way yet. We just kind of dabbled a little bit into here. There's still another point to check out right there. This thing, like I said, we got a ways to go. We got a long ways to go. So I don't really like dealing with these guys when I don't have any HP because they pull off this ridiculously strong move sometimes. I'll take it. Not really worth it for Golden Rune 1, right? Some of these areas you're going to have to remember. We haven't ran into a situation yet where we need to, but I am just going to go ahead and say right now you might want to just put down like a treasure mark or something because you're going to want to come back here eventually once we find a specific item. Do not listen to the lies. There is nothing down there. You're not going to find gold or nothing. It's just death. Don't jump down there. These are really good to have. They are a key ingredient into making neutralizing boluses, which is the way to cure poison in the game, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Pretty much just kind of find your launch points, you know, leap around, kind of figure things out, what you need to do. Come behind here. Really just kind of explore, see messages, precious item ahead. Now, I wouldn't say precious item, but I mean, it is a secret item down there, kind of. So you can take the leap, you know. Kind of stick close to the wall, drop, and so silver, pickled, foul foot. Got another one. Temporarily boost your item discovery. We had a gold one earlier that we found. This one boosts the amount of runes you get, and it's actually pretty important for a later part. Then after that, it's kind of dropped, and there you go. So if you're trying to farm for something specific, just pop a Foulfoot, silver Foulfoot, and then you'll get a pretty good boost in item discovery, so you can kind of run around, do your loops. It'll last for a couple minutes, actually. Birds are notorious at making you miss. It's hilarious. Good. I think we will show the dragon of Aghilt Lake, and then that'll probably be it for this part. Seeing that this is going pretty well into the night right now, and yeah, just like I said, we'll play till I'm tired, and I'm getting to that point. So And you don't want to really play Elden Ring very tired because you'll start making really bad mistakes. And it is just not appropriate. Or you know what, I actually should just level up my weapon one more good time before I go out there.
Wait, well, you're back. Goodbye.
So this is looking pretty good right here for upgrades. Gonna be doing more damage, get a big HP boost, and some more endurance and stuff like that. So, and we're also gonna cut ourselves to 37 runes, which is perfect. So the build's coming along now. No, just kidding. We have a long way to go, guys. This is not anywhere near where we need to be at. But anything that increases that much is very good for us. So, one thing I needed to do was upgrade my weapon. I don't know how much it's going to cost. About 300. And then in that instance, all you do is just kind of go over here, just pop a rune that makes sense. Level up your weapon.
Wait, well, you're...
And then just buy pretty much anything that you need here. So I'm just going to buy arrows.
Goodbye.
Because the dragon can be a little bit of a gimmick sometimes. It's not going to just give it to you outright. You're going to have to earn this one a little bit. So let's see here. What are we at? So the fire damage negation thing is, I would say it's alright. I mean, it could probably prevent a death here, but this dragon, I mean, yeah, you'll see what I'm talking about once we start the fight. So we went from 115 all the way up to 128, so we're looking pretty good on damage now. We can only upgrade it one more time anyway, so we're getting pretty close to that point. Go ahead and take the leap. Then once you rush on this platform, we are going to activate a world boss. There it goes. Now, dragons are not really that bad to fight against once you know their pattern. Once he does that giant flame, just get out of there. There's no point in sticking around for that shit. Now, when they do that, I like to just jump off the horse so I can set up my iframes perfectly. That fucking dragonfly, man. Always love to do that shit. Like I said, just get out of its way. It's not a big deal. That's it. Dragon Heart. Dragon Heart seized by a dragon tracker, riddled with gravelstone and grotesque organ, continues to beat viciously. An offering used in the Dragon Communion, consume a dragon's heart at the altar to make its power yours. While a terrible and savage-looking thing, the heart has particular beauty to it. Yes, indeed. So, for the arcane users, that is an item that you will be hunting down for the entire game. You're going to need to kill lots of draggies, and you'll need to take their hearts if you want to use the Dragon Communion stuff, which we will find out what that is. So, that's your, I don't want to say secretive, it's not really a secretive boss because someone already let you know that it's there, but definitely not, you know, a run at your mill type of enemy. Dragon fights pretty much all play out the same, and the only thing that gets different is like maybe a few attacks here and there, but for the general, you know, purpose of it all, they are all copy paste. Except for the DLC. Those are a little bit different. But the summoning pool is right here in case you need help with him. I honestly think summoning for dragon fights is really dumb. You really don't need the help to do it. They're not that bad. Like I said, you just got to figure out where, you know, what works for you. That's kind of my route. I just keep slicing at the legs, wait until they drop, hit them in the eye, and then just continue to press on from there. These tunnels right here, every time we see these on the map, gotta get out of here. Anytime you see these little icons on the map, you really do want to go to them because they have that area's like next upgrade map, and it's just worth your time to kind of go here and explore stuff because you're going to end up upgrading your weapon of choice pretty easily, actually. Then you want to fall. So falling down in the little mining tunnels is the better way to kind of traverse these sections rather than taking the platform, because you're going to get these little like holes here and stuff. You got to go through it. There are some secrets to be had. Golden Rune 4, that's the highest rune we found up to this point. So 1,200 runes right at the gate. And yeah, then you just kind of run around in circles. Sometimes on the ledge platforms there will be items and stuff, so like I like to take that, and then I'll bring down the elevator just so I don't jump in the hole like an idiot. Might have done that one time or two. Then we'll pop that. Rest at grace, because that was a fight. And then upgrade whatever you really feel like you want to upgrade. Really not much in the way of that I need to do personally right now, because I want to actually start holding on to my runes just a bit. But right now we're doing really good. It's a good setup so far. Couple of close calls with the Caden guys. They're just something else. If I was any other, you know, character start, I probably would have died by now. But the Vagabond armor is very strong at withstanding stuff like that. And once we come back, we will continue on through the mines, and then we will start probably exploring the eastern side of Liurnia, the eastern side of Limgrave, and then we'll start pushing our way up north, because this is where like the more interesting stuff is for this place. And then ultimately we need to make our way to the big time castle. But I personally like to do all the optional side stuff first before I start taking on the main quest, because that's just how I've always played games. So, you know, anytime you come up on these little pillars right there, those are going to be map icons that we need to go ahead and just go there, collect a map, and then it'll expand on all of this stuff. The only reason why I don't run for these things right out the way is because it's just going to start confusing a lot of people if you're watching, and you're going to be like, how the fuck do I get from one place to another? So now we're really set up really well. We should take this time to probably explore like this island, this thing, definitely right here. I know what's up with this stuff, so we actually want to hold off on that, but we do want to come down here and kind of explore right there. And then we can go ahead and make our way over here, because there's a little secret inside that thing. And then that would be it. So when we return, like I said, we were going to do all this stuff, take on this tunnel, and have a good old time. So thanks for watching. I'm having fun with the straight sword. I think it's a really great weapon. Obviously chunks DPS like crazy, so this thing will be pretty good. I can tell it's going to be really good for me. Alright, I will see you next time.